So, the last build I decided to do was probably the build that I should have done first. It is Vaal Spark. So, the general gist of the build is you nuke everything with crazy amounts of projectile speed. You build up your first Vaal Spark, and then you shield charge very quickly so that you essentially, if you crit, uh, you vaporize bosses, you vaporize any kind of rares that get in your way. The clear speed is just, I don't know. It's weird that this is like acceptable to the game state right now. They nerfed this by 80%, and it doesn't matter because they introduced ascendancies that give it so much damage and clear speed that it's back to where it was before. I mean, they said that they didn't want this to exist anymore. They said that it wasn't healthy for the game, and then players just they make Inquisitor, they make this build crit as much as possible, and then it's back to where it was before, in that it's the absolute fastest build in the game. So just kind of a review of the gear and some of the choices that I made. This is the typical build. Obviously I have to get the flask nodes to make it better. The more duration you get on Vessel of Inktu, the better. This is the most expensive piece of the build that I have. This cost me like 85 chaos. And it's well worth it because it gives you immortality and shock and damage, and the 50 lightning resistance that it gives you actually gives you more crit because it synergizes with Choir of the Storm. So yeah, you go CI, you go Vaal Pact, and you go Ghost Reaver. And you don't even need leech nodes because if you have Vessel of Inktu, you have free leech. Yeah, 20% of your lightning damage, and this is almost half of your lightning, well, half of your actual lightning damage. Yeah, it's kind of absurd. I mean, you just get attack speed. So there are some budget options. So what I did was I had an Ambusher that I picked up, item level 84. It's a 1.5 attack speed base, and I just bought a couple of Shrieking Essence of Scorns. These are like 2 chaos each. And I bought these because they're pretty cheap and they give 100 crit chance to spells. So that was pretty nice. And if you get attack speed on dagger and you get nice spell damage or spell damage hybrid, then you can mastercraft spell damage. So this is a 72 spell damage, 143 crit, and ridiculously fast attack speed. And that's all that you want in your weapon. The colors are annoying for shield charge. You can also get it on a Divinarius. The Divinarius I paid for 1 chaos. I kind of rage priced this because I mean, I spent so much chromes getting these colors. But yeah, you can use a Divinarius. It'll be slower. It's quite a bit slower, 0.35. Or if you don't care about spell damage, you can get a Brightbeak, and Brightbeak is even faster than this at the cost of damage. But when this build is a 6-link, the Vaal Spark does so much damage that you don't even need your weapon to do much damage. So you just get a Brightbeak, and your shield charge just does ridiculous. So it has a lot of required things. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle that once you get all the pieces together, it makes a pretty picture. So you know, you need your Chill of Corruption, you need your 3 sack harvests. One of the last corruptions that I got was the sack harvest, so that was kind of why I was like, you know what, I'll do the OP meme build, whatever. Yeah, energy from within is not even required. A lot of people don't even grab these nodes anymore. They just grab like these efficient ones, and they have a bunch of ES. Again, I bought very budget gear. So Skyforth has eluded me for a long time. Obviously this league I didn't generate nearly enough currency, but Voidwalkers exist now. So now if I have phasing, everything pierces. So I don't even need pierce in here. If I wanted to, I could path down here and get piercing, and then these boots could be a resist pair of boots. But I think it's cool to have something from the shaper that you actually use, that isn't Dying Sun. So I thought it was pretty cool to use this. And use Herald Device, Curse on Hit, and Assassin's Mark for your power charge generation. If the mobs are hexproof, you're in trouble. That's kind of annoying. But you can also path this way and get the Blue Dream, and that gives you a power charge on crit because it scales off of the elemental damage. Elemental resist here. So the Blue Dream will capture these, and you get power charge and crit from those. You could do that. That's kind of an expensive option. But yeah, you just get crit nodes, attack speed nodes, and the build does all the work for you. You obviously there's some weaknesses, so I'll show you. Going back to Dried Lake. The number one weakness is that it is a Vaal Spark build, and Spark, like if you shoot it into like a corner or a wall, like even though it bounces, like a lot of the potential can be wasted in closed spaces. So that's one thing. Like you really don't want to do it in indoor maps, obviously. And then the other thing is the single target is not great, especially in higher tier maps, if you don't have your Vaal Spark up. And if your Vaal Spark doesn't crit, that's also kind of annoying. But if it does crit, it essentially takes care of everything for you, and you're able to just vaporize maps. It's also just very satisfying to hear the crunch of everything just dying. Yeah, everything shattering and your build destroying the game one shield charge at a time. Really, what makes this build shine in that it's clear speed is if you go into a breach, and I'm really trying to find a breach here, and I'm really not getting good RNG. But if you find a breach, it just absolutely vaporizes the breach. It's really just the best breach clear. I mean, you could do like animate weapon and spend like millions of exalts. But why spend so many exalts when you can spend like 2 exalts to get the required ones, to sack harvest and all that good stuff, and then just do this. So I'm not really like even min-maxing the way that I clear this, and at level 78 I'm getting almost 200 million XP an hour. If you're doing like level appropriate stuff, you easily get 250 million XP an hour. This thing is just, I don't know. I guess it's okay that this is in the game, maybe. Maybe it should be nerfed. I don't know. But another reason why is because for the free Christmas MTX, I got Spark Spiders. And I was like, yeah, I gotta use it. So that's another reason why I went Vaal Spark. But really, I'm pretty much done with the league, and I wanted to do something really funny, so I decided to do this. Oh wait, here we go. So you see, everything's dead. So then you just activate it again, and then everything dies again. And then you activate it again, and everything dies again. This is compounded by map mods that give pack size, because breaches with pack size are OP. So what ends up happening is you end up with all this pack size, and you just obliterate all that pack size in the breach. And with Vaal Spark, it just keeps opening up, and you keep getting all the splinters, all the increased quantity items, and yeah, you're a happy camper. So this is probably the build that I should have built for first. This is what you get for not going like full meta scumbag meme builds. Is you end up poor like me. But if you had done this in the beginning, I mean, just like this incomparable uh, clear speed and currency generation in maps, um, yeah, you would have been a lot happier. But the thing is, like, playing meme builds is fun because you're overpowered and you do whatever you want. But it's just one of those things that you feel bad, and the reason why you feel bad and what I would feel bad is because like you don't want to end up playing a build like this every time. Um, you play the game. You kind of want to think about something like Howa, for example. Even though it ends up being like ridiculously powerful, and it needs some nerfs for the game to be healthy. Um, Something like Howa, where somebody creates this like cool build where you stack something and it synergizes. So you know, the more int you get, the more ES you get, the more damage you get. Like that's cool. That's like an everything build that has cool mechanics and its budget. Like that's everything that I like in a game. But what ends up happening with something like this, right, is like once you put the pieces together and everybody copies it, like this is what you have to play in order to keep up with the currency generation that everybody else can do. I mean, I got pretty unlucky with drops, even though I had a good clear speed build with explosive arrow, and I got pretty unlucky, and I wasn't able to generate that much currency. So I had to rely on other builds to get me there, and I was unwise. I mean, that's the major caveat is I was very inefficient in the beginning. I had to unlock a lot of the Atlas, and I didn't do Uber Lab runs. That's like the easiest way to generate currency. You either do Uber Lab runs very efficiently, you get 4 or 5 keys, and you get very good drops, or you do Vaal Spark and you generate currency like a madman, and then everything comes with it. So overall, the only thing that really sucked about Breach League is that some of these challenges were just not fun. It's not fun to not find a unique strongbox after doing hundreds of maps. It's not fun to have to do a Cholula Breach, and then if you can't identify or find a Chaos unique, then you have to end up paying for it, an identification. Uh, it's not very fun to RNG and find like these Piranhas coffers and have to spend tons of currency doing Piranhas. Um, I guess the Shaper is cool. I think that even though Atlas has been out for a while, I think having this requirement is really good for the game because it makes people create builds that can actually do him instead of ignore him and do something else. But all in all, I think that because the back attachment is something that you would normally pay like $30 for, I think it was fair. There are some things that are not fun, but overall, getting the back attachment was a fun process minus the terrible RNG. Um, I want Cholula splinters to drop more, I guess because even though they want you to trade in this game, it feels better to be able to accrue things solo and self-found, and then be able to just do that. Like I would have felt really good if I was able to accumulate enough Cholula breach shards to like do one run at least on my own. But I wasn't even able to do that. Like I said before, I bought them. I accrued about 66 in 2 characters, and I had played about 4 days up until that point across 2 characters. So it's just one of those things where it's like I played for 4 days straight and I still didn't get 100 Cholula splinters. Like, come on, game. Uh, what else? Mapping felt good. Um, the way that the mapping system is set up is really nice. You shape the maps that you want to do. You get them. They increase your playability basically, because if you don't have those shape maps, it's kind of like you end up running a lot of things that you don't want to, unless you do the ETUP shape match strat. But I feel like you just go insane if you just do the same 4 or 5 maps, or like the build that just does shaped strand a million times. Like shaped strand is fun, but do I really want to do shaped strand 5 million times? Like I feel like that's so mind-boggling. I have fun playing a diverse set of maps, and what I end up doing is if I get precinct, which I hate, I just grab three precincts and I sell them up, and I get something cool. Things that I don't want to run, I just wait until I get 3 of them and I just sell them. I know that's inefficient. You could probably make more money if you just shape the maps that you want, but I like playing that way. Um, Additionally, I could have probably done a character that did the Guardians better than the explosive arrow build, and then I could have done shaper runs and gotten dying sun flasks, and then I would have made a lot more money. But I started with explosive arrow, so that's my fault. I should have done Uber Lab. I didn't do that. I would have made a lot more money if I started Uber Lab earlier in the league. So those are two things. You make a Shaper viable build, kill the Shaper, get those Dying Suns, sell them, or you do a very fast Uber viable build, which is even cheaper than a Shaper viable build, and you make a ton of money through that. Those are the two main ways you really make money in Standard, other than flipping currency or playing a Vaal Spark build that just collects peanuts, but collects peanuts really, really fast. So, I know I just rambled for like an hour, basically explained everything that it did in Breach League down to the wire. I guess one last thing that I wasn't lucky with was I leveled about 5 explosive arrows to level 20 and then flipped them and then did again 20 quality 20 and I corrupted them and I only got +3 quality. So basically they all didn't do anything. Again, I tried to do it again on my Howl guy, but I got 36 challenges and then I kind of stopped playing. But my plan is to get all of these sparks. I have 6 of them. Yeah, I have 6 sparks. The plan is to get these all to 20 and then corrupt them, and then hopefully I hit a +1 and then I'm a happy camper. But that probably won't happen because my RNG this league has been terrible. But that's okay because I had a lot of fun. So thank you guys.